All right, Nimbus. It's time for you to get down. You need to go see your mommy. This cat won't leave me alone. I'm trying to shoot a video clip here and the cat won't leave me alone. So I got to finally see a Jeep Gladiator today in person, and it was pretty awesome. All right, so there it is. That's the first Jeep Gladiator that I've seen in person. Obviously it's an Overland model. Got the nice spray-in liner in it, hard top. I love the painted fenders. They do look a little nicer, I think. This one's got a lot of luxury features on it, like the leather seats and... Ooh, it's open. Cool. Got the leather seats in this one. Got the 8.4-inch screen. First time I've actually seen one in person, so this is cool. Most of the things that I ordered that I'm waiting on, like the cold weather package and all that kind of stuff, is on this one. This one, obviously, you can't get the max tow package on the Overland. The combined weight of occupants and cargo should never exceed 1,063 pounds. 1,063 pounds is the payload. So the payload on this is significantly lower than the Sport with the max tow. And I guess that's the thing that really bothers me the most about this truck, is that you can't do a whole lot of work with it as a truck. The max tow on the Sport is just so much more useful. I mean, by the time you put a family of 5 in this truck, you only have like 200 or 300 pounds remaining, which means you couldn't even put an ATV or anything in the back of this truck. So, but hey, I'm gonna go over here and talk to them and see if they'll let me drive it. I'd love to drive this thing, see how it compares to the JL. Sure is a good looking truck. Oh yeah, these leather seats are definitely comfortable. This is also the first time I've sat in one of the new models with the leather seating, and it is more comfortable. It feels like it's got a little bit more cushioning in it than the cloth seats do, and that's the big deal. The cloth seats to me were real hard. This has got a lot of cushioning in it, and it actually feels better. I do like that. Interesting. So I'm about 6'3", and I've got the driver's seat in a position where I was comfortable driving it, and now I'm sitting behind myself, and my knees are into the seat. So not a whole lot of space back here. Now I could obviously I wouldn't be riding back here, but I'm just doing this to show you the amount of room back here. So two 6'3" guys behind each other, or stacked in a line here. Not really a lot of room, but again, most of the time you're just going to have kids riding back here probably, so not a real big deal. Now this one does have the factory towing package, so based upon what very vague literature I could find, I think the towing capacity on this one's about 6,000 pounds. So it's not nearly as good as the Rubicon or the Sport with a max tow, but it's not horrible either. Kind of in between, the sort of middle of the pack. So you can tow a decent amount with this. It's just the payload is kind of the problem with this truck, but not bad. And you can see on the factory spray liner that it doesn't, it does come over the edge. It does come over the lip a little bit, but it doesn't go all the way down there. So for those of you guys wondering how far back they actually spray it, that's what it looks like. And this one doesn't have the cargo management system in it either, but that's what gives you the power outlet back here. Doesn't have that, but it does have the LED lighting, so that's cool. And of course the running boards, not only are they obviously longer to fill in this gap, but it looks to me like they're wider too. They stick out from the body farther than the JL ones do, so that'll give you obviously a better step, but more door protection as well. A lot of people have been complaining about the fuel door. You just press it to open it. I don't see the big deal there. It doesn't bother me at all. Overall, it's a pretty nice Jeep. I do love it. It's extremely windy out here today, so I apologize, but there's the big Dana 44 axle. All the Gladiators have a Dana 44, so that's pretty nice. And of course, this suspension is adapted from the Ram 1500, so a lot of the Ram 1500 parts may interchange with this. All right, guys. So unfortunately, it was pretty windy today, and I know the audio was terrible on those clips. I apologize. Hopefully, you can kind of make out what I was trying to say. But I test drove a 2018 Toyota Tacoma TRD off-road, and I just really wasn't impressed with it. It's got drum brakes on the rear. The bed is plastic. The second row of seating had no headroom. The engine was weak. It had that new 3.5 V6, I guess. The transmission felt kind of old and outdated. It just didn't do anything for me, and they were pretty proud of it. They wanted like 39 grand for it. So passed on that. I owned a Nissan Frontier 2013 model, so I'm very familiar with the Nissan. I test drove the Chevy Colorado with the ZR2 package and the Duramax diesel. You probably saw the review I did on that. My driving impressions video anyway. Not impressed at all. So the only one that I haven't driven yet is the new Ford Ranger, and I had a couple of the Ford Rangers back in the late 90s, early 2000s when they were still super popular. Really loved them, but I mean, that's almost 20 years ago now. A lot has changed, and the current Ranger, I mean, it doesn't look horrible, but there's just a lot of things about it. It's kind of old and outdated. It's been out for like 8 or 9 years actually in other countries. Most of the magazine reviews are kind of negative toward it as far as ride quality and braking, and some of the bits and pieces like the add-on trailer brake controller, the keypad on the door, some of that stuff, you can just tell that they really slapped that together really quickly for the US market to get something, to market. So, plus I'm just not a big fan of the EcoBoost engines. I'm just not a fan of the sophisticated direct injection turbo engines. I mean, they just, I've had a couple of those before. My wife actually has, but I had the joy of working on them and maintaining them, and I'm just not a fan. They run dirty. They don't get the advertised fuel economy. They're not dependable and reliable long term. I just don't see the point in them. And since Ford's only offering that, I've kind of passed on it. But every other truck in the class I've driven, I've gotten experience with, and I'm just not really impressed with them. So I guess that means I really am a Jeep guy, because I went and I finally drove the Gladiator today, and it was awesome. I mean, as you can imagine, it was very much like the Wrangler in a lot of ways, but there were some differences. The one I drove had the leather seats, which were more comfortable than the cloth seats. They had more padding, more cushioning, and they did sit a little better. They were more comfortable. I wish that they were cooled seats, because it's a pretty warm day out here today, and I was sweating pretty fast sitting in them. They don't have any cooling, but they are heated seats, so in the wintertime it'd be nice. So it was more comfortable. The braking was really noticeably better on the Gladiator. I mean, obviously it's got larger brakes because it's a truck, but it was noticeable. The stopping power, of course you can see behind me, my JL now has the stock wheels and tires on it, so I can compare apples to apples pretty easily. And the Gladiator just was really sharp and crisp with its braking. You could just tell that it really slowed down a lot quicker. So would be pretty nice if you were hauling or towing something. Really was impressed with the brakes. The steering wasn't too bad. It had a little bit of that wander, but not nearly as bad as the JL did when it was new. This thing was like being behind the wheel of a tugboat or something. I mean, just constant. Trying to drive straight down the road, you were doing this, until I had that software flash done a few months after I got it. But the Gladiator had a little bit of that, but not much. It handled pretty well. So I wasn't disappointed in the handling. I mean, it felt pretty much like the JL to me. The braking was better, the seating was better. Acceleration was a little bit slower. Felt a little more sluggish, but I mean, the truck is like, what, 400 or 500 pounds heavier than the Wrangler? So if you add that kind of weight, it's gonna feel a little more sluggish. Overall, I was really impressed with it. The interior was really nice, looked really nice, had the leather stitching. Had the premium audio system in it and everything. It was just a really nice place to spend time inside. The features of the truck are really nice, so I think I'm gonna definitely stick with the Gladiator for now. It's as far as the mid-size trucks go, I do believe, in my opinion, that it's the best one out there. I mean, the max tow on the Sport's gonna give me what I need and some things that I want, so it's gonna be pretty awesome. I just can't wait. Unfortunately, the Overland is kind of out of my price range. Couldn't really work a deal on that, but I've got that Sport on order, so whenever it shows up, we're going to do some really cool videos with it. I can't wait to dig into the suspension, especially the rear, and see what we can, you know, find out about how it really compares to the Ram 1500, which is what they kind of got it from. So anyway, finally got to see a Gladiator in person, because every one that they get, they sell instantly. It was nice to be able to finally sit in one, drive one, see one, and hopefully pretty soon I'll have one sitting back here in the driveway. So anyway, you guys have a great night. We've got some storms coming in, so I got to do some stuff here before it rains on me. So we will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.